Hello, cats. I just finished recording this entire video and then accidentally deleted all of the footage, so let's do this again. So let me weave you a little tale. There I was, just having finished my script for a video about, like narrative analysis, engaging with media, how to get started in that process, and trying to make it seem less daunting to people who don't think of themselves as like academics or intellectuals. And then I did the unthinkable. I watched the Scott Pilgrim anime. And then I thought, I could absolutely record this whole script thing and make this whole video, or I could just make a video without a script ranting about Scott Pilgrim. So I think I'm gonna do that first. Next video's crazy analysis stuff. So I loved the anime. I really liked all the characters, minus Scott, we'll talk about that. I loved the animation. I really liked the world building, like how cohesive all the video game elements felt and how it got a laugh out of me many times on that front. The comedy, also very good. Choreography, just really everything about it I loved. I loved that Scott wasn't there for most of the time, which itself I think led to a problem that I'll talk about later. And so, mostly a positive experience. There were two main things that really hindered my ability to enjoy the story to what I think its fullest could have been. And so I'm gonna talk about these things in two different worlds. I'm gonna talk in the world that would make me the happiest, and then the world in which I think other people would enjoy it also. So, okay. The first of two things. The thing with Scott and knives, right? I don't know if it's just me. I find it pretty hard to get over someone in their 20s, like 22, 23, I think, dating a high schooler. I just can't. There's no world in which that without a good amount of growth can be worth getting the hot alt girl in the end. You know what I mean? So there are two things I would do to change this in my ideal world, right? The one for just me is that I would make Knives a freshman in college. Make her 19, still the same super naive character. She thinks Scott and her in a relationship. He's like, we're not really in a relationship. That's fine. And then the cheating thing is that's enough. You don't need more than cheating to make a guy unlikable. But let's just say we're in a world where Knives being in high school is an integral aspect of the narrative, right? Let's say that. Also, for context, I have not read the graphic novel. I have watched the anime, I've watched the movie, so I might compare the movie and the show a little bit. Maybe not. We'll see. But I don't know the context of the comic, so this is not here's how they adapted it. I'm just treating this as its own story. Oh God, where was I? No script. I believe where I was saying, yeah, let's say that Knives being in high school is integral to the story, right? So what I would do is in that beginning scene where Scott's roommate, and I have only seen it once, so I'm not going to remember anyone's name, but where Scott's roommate is your girlfriend Knives, and he's like, she's not we're not not girlfriend, right? Instead of that, he goes, what? We're just friends. What are you talking about? And he's and the roommate is like, oh, are you kidding? You see the way she looks at you, right? You know the way that you treat her. You guys are totally dating, right? And Scott's like, oh no, I gotta end this. This is bad. This is a high schooler, right? That's the normal human reaction, I think. And if it's not your reaction, you don't deserve the hot alt girl. I'm sorry to say it. So Scott wants to end this thing, right? Or at least let Knives know that that's not what his intention is. And then the whole Ramona thing happens. Meet cute, yada yada. They do the whole date thing. And then we're at the music venue, and both Knives and Ramona are there. And that still has plenty of tension to it because Scott is freaking out because oh no, what if Knives, who thinks that we're dating, tells Ramona that we're dating even though we're not, and I haven't cleared up this misunderstanding yet. You know what I mean? So I feel that's a way that her being in high school could work, and not make Scott, in my eyes, borderline irredeemable. I'm sure that there is a story you could tell, but he wouldn't be able to be absent for 90% of that story to grow enough, in my opinion. And also, the even worse effect, because I'm kind of okay with not liking Scott, that's kind of fine, it makes me dislike Ramona, to a degree. I still like Ramona as a character a lot. But being super chill with your boyfriend having dated a high schooler, not in the distant past, but right now, that makes me have a big problem with her. That's not great, that's not a good look. And so there are those are a few ways that I think that could make me like Ramona and Scott better, make the situation just a little less, for lack of a better term, icky. I teach children for work, so it's extra freaky to me. But I hope it's as freaky to everyone as it is to me. I hope that that's not a hot take. Anyway, so that's the Knives thing. I think that would make me feel a lot better about that aspect. The second thing, which I think is much bigger to me, is the big altercation at the end between Scott and adult Scott, right? and Ramona and older Ramona. So I don't feel like Scott had time to grow, and I feel like at the end he just got a big fight, and then it just kind of was over, and he didn't change at all. Having adult him say, you're gonna end up like me, and me being like, yeah, maybe, based on the way you are at this point, like, you know. And Scott's just like, let me choose, which is like, I get that. I'm sure that clicked for some people. Didn't resonate with me personally. And so what I would have changed is I would have changed the nature of the nanobots. So in the original series, or in the show, in the anime, the nanobots are just like anti-Ramona robots. And instead of doing that, I would make them amplify Scott's doubts. So like when Scott sees the future and like what's going on, the seeds of doubt are born in him, that are planted in him, that he might become like that older version of himself. Like he sees himself in that older person, right? So the big final altercation with Scott, I'm gonna again split it into the two categories. The category that would make me the happiest, and one that I think would be like better for a general audience. Like, you know. So the one for me, right, is that muscly Scott, young Scott, Ramona, exes in the other world space. I would have older Scott tell Scott about the nanobots, like, oh, they're amplifying your doubts. And little Scott would be like, oh my god, you're right. I need to change. And then kind of be like, I'm not going to fight you, and I promise not to get with Ramona until I can be the kind of person who wouldn't become you. And then have that resonate with old Scott, right? And then you get like a little montage of Scott getting a job and like moving into his own apartment and like really like shedding his instrument and getting, you know, like taking things seriously and growing as a person. And then, you know, you get like final moment, Ramona and him kiss, right? And then it works. I think that would be great. It would give Scott a little arc. The reason that, and my boyfriend actually brought this up, the reason I don't think that would work for a general audience is because there's no big fight. And people like a big fight. And so let's do it in a way where there's a big fight, right? Let's give us a big fight. So we're back to the world where it's buff Scott, young Scott, Ramona, exes, right? Big Scott, little Scott. Big Scott's like, oh, nanobots, doubts, yada yada. Little Scott's like, screw you, man, let me decide, and then goes to like punch him, and old man just beats him out, and he just like falls to the floor unconscious, right? And then all the exes are like, can we go? Because like we don't really care if you beat him up. And then old Scott is like, oh yeah, no, go ahead, go away. I'll just take out these two, referring to Ramona and Scott. And then all the exes are like, oh, you're gonna mess with Ramona? And then they all square up, and then you get like a big fight, backflips, front flips, leg kicks, wachoo, you know, all that fun stuff. And you get the spectacle, and you get the fight. And then Scott like wakes up and is like stop everyone. And then he's like, he's right about me. I don't know that I won't become like this. You've won. I won't get with Ramona until. And this part's gonna be very similar to the part I said before. I won't be with her until I can prove that I'm the type of guy who can like be healthy and with her or whatever. And then old Scott's like, yeah, okay, I resonate with that. And then we get the scene of like them in the movie, same wrap up except without like the kissing and Scott and Ramona being together. And then during the end credits, you get like a montage of like Scott getting a job and then moving out and then like taking his life seriously. And then like end credit scene, Ramona and Scott kiss. I feel like that would just have it would have more of like a narrative spin to the end of the story. And I would like that very much. Let me know if any of that resonates. You know, this was just kind of in my little world, what I would like to have seen. And I'm planning on reading the comic, so I'll have read the comic in the future. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm about to do some sick music. Boop.